Yo, what's shaking, everybody? Welcome to our weekly Orangebloods Prize Picks prediction show. No real games to predict this weekend, but we will be talking Prize Picks and some Texas football. I'm Jeff Ketchum, joined by Anwar Richardson, Jason Sukamel, and Alex Dunlap. Make sure you do us a solid. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, all of those things, so that you know whenever we've got videos coming out like this one at any given time during the week. Fellas, greetings. Hope everybody's doing well. I thought we would lead off. And we should mention, by the way, the video is brought to you by PrizePicks. Get in now if you haven't gotten in all season long. No time like the present to give yourself a present. Sign up, deposit $100. They will 100% match that, give you $100, and then let the shenanigans and good times begin over at PrizePicks. I'm looking at my account right now. I think I'm going to pay for Christmas with PrizePicks this year, fellas. I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't withdrawn any money this year, so it's just I've let it stack and stack and stack. I think I may do the withdrawal here and buy Christmas this year with PrizePicks. It's not too late, guys. You guys can get in, put some money in, win some money.
And just in time for Flex Friday, too. They get a free Flex Friday.
It's coming. It's tomorrow.
So get in today.
The whole world doesn't play that. It's literally a free,
even if you
free chance of $500. It's just so funny. It's so great.
You do nothing else but play Flex Friday. Get in today, play Flex Friday.
Alex and I use the Flex Friday differently. I try to pair it with, I'm just trying to win an easy like $75. Alex is always going for the 500.
I'm with Alex, dude. I'm swinging for the 3.
It is if you
want the big sweat.
2 weeks and you just go for the 75, if you win on like 10% of those, you're talking about like $500. So just throwing it out there, it's a good way to kind of game the system.
Alex is a home run hitter.
He is.
Alex, and I am the same way too. By the way, I'm in that 4th spot, and I'm just swinging for the fences. I ain't thinking about trying to get on base. I'm not thinking about stealing. None of that kind of stuff. We are DHs. We are a designated hitter.
Catches over here taking walks and stuff like that.
I'm getting on base. You're damn right. Fellas, let's start off before we get into the Prize Picks. It's Thursday and the Longhorns are in the playoffs, and we've all done shows, and Jason's been on all of our shows. I'm just curious. It's been 5 days since the Longhorns beat Oklahoma State. It's been 4 days since they've officially been in the playoffs. I just want to know where everybody's head's at. It's all a little bit different. We could all be thinking about different things as it relates to the playoffs. I know Jason will probably say recruiting because National Signing Day is literally right around the corner. But there's the portal. There's a lot of things going on. But as it relates to, one of the best weekends in recent Texas history, Anwar, I'll start with you. The thing you're thinking about the most this week, now that there's a little bit of break, there's no games this weekend. Where's your head at?
I mean, my head is, I think Texas is going to win a national championship. I mean, that's where my head's at. It's kind of been at since this weekend, and it kind of grows as I think about where Texas is because, I look at the Washington matchup and, close game last year with, Texas, obviously they end up losing that one. But I don't look at a Washington team that I look at and say, oh, Texas can't hang with that team. Like it's going to be kind of tough. And like the way I would have looked at, like if FSU had gotten in, right? I'm like, good luck, right? I look at that and I say to myself, once you get past Washington, you've already beat Alabama. I've watched Michigan this year. First of all, boring brand of football. Second of all, I don't look at them as something that's overwhelming. And so, and that also the third part of it is I look at 2 games that Texas has as home games. New Orleans is going to be a home game for Texas. That's first and foremost, it was hard to get flights in and out of New Orleans. And so at least if you're a Texas fan, you can drive to New Orleans if all else fails. If you're in the state of Washington, that's not the easiest of drives. Like, it's not an easy drive to say, all right, well, I can't get a flight back out.
It's not even an easy flight, Anwar.
No.
That's a long flight.
It's a very long flight. So that's going to be a pro heavy Texas crowd. Like that's just going to be a heavy Texas crowd. And then, of course, if they play in Houston, of course, that's going to be. So I look at 2 home games for Texas. I look at a team that I think has been peaking over the last couple of weeks, and I start thinking to myself, as my head's at, I think Texas can win it all.
What about you, Jason?
Well, like you said, most of my focus is on recruiting. We are less than 2 weeks from early signing period opening up. So I was talking to someone the other day or yesterday, and I said, I just want to hit the fast forward button and get to December 20th, man, so we can put a bow on this recruiting class. Texas will have a mini recruiting event next weekend. They're going to have all their recruiting, or not all of them, but a lot of their committed guys will be on campus, some official visitors, so on and so forth. But in terms of the Texas football team, it's funny. We did the post-game show, and my initial thought was, hey, Texas, this isn't a great matchup with Washington. I think of all the teams left, this might have been the worst matchup just because Texas's pass defense scares me a little bit against Michael Penix and the weapons he has on offense. But, the more I think about it, I don't know, I'm kind of coming around to Anwar's, and I think you said it too. Your way, I think I'm not predicting Texas yet to win a national championship, but I think the physicality of Texas in this game, especially up front, I think Texas can control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. I said it, I think, on Anwar's show on Tuesday. I'm a guy that always gets enamored with the fun offenses and the fancy offenses. And I always end up picking those teams over teams that have good defenses. And I feel like usually I end up being wrong. I'm like, damn it, why do I always get suckered into these sexy offenses and then the defenses are able to control them? It'd be different if Texas didn't have a pretty quote unquote sexy offense of its own. But I mean, if Texas can slow down Washington to a moderate pace, I think Texas moves the ball pretty well. So my head, I keep going back and forth. I'm not making a final prediction. I'm not predicting Texas to win the championship just yet. But like Anwar said, is it possible? 100%. Absolutely. It's possible. If they get past Washington, I might even say it's likely. I think it's going to be a great game regardless, guys. And I'm going back and forth, but I'm kind of coming around to the Burn Orange way of thinking that I think Texas, with its physicality, with its overall play, offense, defense, special teams, might have an edge. And as Anwar said, it should be a pretty healthy home field advantage.
Jason, it's interesting. We've had a number of national guests on in the first few days of this week on our show, House Divided, here on Orangebloods Live. I'm surprised by the number of national guys that think Texas is just going to lay waste to Washington. I think it's going to be a very competitive game, a very good game. But, we talked to Matt Berry, who hosts College Football Final, and then we talked to Peter Burns, who's a host with the SEC Network. Both of those guys sounded like they think Texas wins this game by multiple scores. It's kind of crazy to me how much respect Texas has earned nationally in this season. That game against Alabama really put them over the top. As the season has gone on, I feel like college football writers everywhere have really remembered how impressive that performance was because they're getting a lot of benefit of the doubt right now.
Yeah, and that game was a long time ago, but Texas is obviously hitting its stride also right in the last couple of weeks. I mean, Washington had a really good win against Oregon, but Washington hasn't played great football over the last month to 6 weeks. So, I can see why people are predicting that. I like you. I think it'll be a more competitive game, but that's it's good for the people watching this video to hear those kind of picks.
Alex, what about you? You've come out of the dungeon. You've broken down all of the. Oh, you shook your head. No,
I'm not out.
You're not out of the dungeon. You're still in the dungeon.
Texas. I think Texas might have ran like 110 plays or something this game, Catch. I should have been normally under any other I'm through like 82 plays, and under any other circumstances I'd have been done, but I'm still working on it. Like my column will be up later tonight. Hopefully I'll get it up to before the show. But
well,
God,
the good news, Alex, there's no game on Saturday to make your column outdated.
And yeah, I guess that's the good news. But man, they did. They ran a bunch of plays in this game, and I think Jason was right. They're certainly hitting. They're peaking at the right time. They're hitting their stride. It's cool that we have a whole month to kind of go back and forth and really to kind of dive into this game and get to enjoy the other games and know that Texas is sort of the main course waiting at the end for the whole, it's Texas and 3 other teams that are kind of the main course that everybody's waiting on. So it's a unique position to be in. It's cool to be able to kind of commentate on it. With that being said, I've been looking back and just kind of thinking back and just eventually at some point during the course of this month when I'm not, so swamped with getting the deep dig and stuff out probably next week, I really want to look back at that Washington game from last year, because when I think about it, and you guys probably have, you guys might have more clear memories than me, but I'm just thinking, man, gosh, what a different team that was last year. What a different Texas football team that was last year. You get these Washington fans saying, remember the Alamo Bowl, remember the Alamo Bowl. And you're just like, well, man, T'Vondre Sweat wasn't T'Vondre Sweat last year, right? But Byron Murphy had not become the version of this. Quinn Ewers had not become the version of this. A.D. Mitchell was not on that team. DJ Campbell had not emerged, even though, man, DJ Campbell had a miserable game in the Big 12 championship. It's been a real up and down affair for that guy. But just so many of these guys. It just, Anthony Hill wasn't doing his thing. Jade Barron, another guy with a letdown game in the Big 12 championship. But all that notwithstanding, like this team has developed so very much. It feels crazy to me to compare last year's team to this year's team. And I agree with everybody else. When you just watch that game and you watched when you watched Washington versus Oregon, was the number one thing that you thought to yourself, you watched that game in the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, it's like, oh my gosh, man, how physical these teams are. God, what a slobber knocker that was. Who was thinking that on Friday night?
Well, I thought Washington was pretty physical. I mean,
more physical than they usually are. Yeah,
exactly. I think it was a little bit of a different Washington team than we've seen all season, because they end up kind of doing to Oregon late in the game what Texas did to Alabama. They just seemingly in the fourth quarter started to really wear them out with the running game. But your point's not completely lost, Alex. It's certainly not the first thing I think of when I watch them play against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship.
I think about Penix, and I think about Odunze. I mean, that's what I think about when I think about Washington. And clearly, those guys are going to present matchup problems for Texas and their personnel. We have all month to talk about how good a matchup Ryan Watts, then healthy Ryan Watts, is going to be against Rome and things like this. But I think that's a game that Texas is going to win. Now, I'm not ready. I'm certainly interested in. It would be very good if Texas won the national championship. I just think, man, it's like Texas is not the same team as it was last year versus Washington. I hated to hear this from the committee or the pundits coming into the whole college football playoff stuff when they said Alabama is not the same team they were when Texas won and stuff like that. I thought it was a cockamamie thing to say, to discount the Texas win by saying by the eyeball test they feel like a different team. But now that that's all over, by the eyeball test they kind of do feel like a different team. So I do think that is to be taken into consideration. I also do think it should be taken into consideration, man. I just think do you guys not think the old adage about beating a good team twice in the single year, it's pretty tough to pull off 2 wins in a single season against a team like Bama. So I think if Texas is lucky enough to get there to the national championship, it's going to be one heck of a game, and certainly something I'll be super excited to see. I think everybody watching this would be excited to see that.
Is there any statistical evidence to back up that adage? Like in the NFL?
But doesn't it kind of seem true?
Well, in the NFL, it makes sense because you're playing them once at home and once in their stadium.
Yeah. Well, in the NFL, it's usually more of a beating a team 3 times than it is 2 times. Usually that third time's in the playoffs. I don't think people make a big deal out of it when there's a regular season rematch in the playoffs. So usually it's, can you beat a team 3 times? So, not so difficult in college. You only got to do it twice. Hey,
Kat, I covered the NFL for years, Jason. I covered the Bucks and the Lions. Trust me, you can beat a team 2 times. I've seen a lot of losses, buddy. Trust me, it can happen.
Hey, guys, before we move on to Prize Picks and on where I'll go to you on this first, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just curious. If we take Texas out of the equation of the 4 teams, Who's the most dangerous of the remaining three?
Bama. You know,
Jason?
because okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Al. Go
No,
ahead.
I didn't know if you wanted an explanation or not. No, that's fine. Go ahead. Bama's it.
What about you, Jason?
I'm still going Washington if you get Michael Penix on a good day. Okay, they might be the best team out of the four if you get Penix at his best. That's a tough one. I mean, there's a part of me that likes to say Bama just because Milrose made strides, but I still think if you're asking me who's the most dangerous on any given day, I'll probably take Washington.
What about you, Alex?
Bama.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you in Anwar. I think it's a different Alabama team than what we would have seen earlier in the season, and Texas fans don't want to hear it for a number of reasons, right? Because partly Anwar, they want Quinn Ewers to get the love, but Jalen Milroe is to me the total wild card in this entire tournament of four teams. It's not a big tournament, but I thought he was the best player on the field against Georgia on a day when the stats might not have shown it, but my eyeballs told me Georgia can't stop Jalen Milroe. And if he continues to play, I think like he has down the stretch, it makes Alabama really difficult. Once you remove Texas and you think about Alabama against a Michigan or a Washington or even a Texas, they're really good.
Well, the big difference, Catch, is that from the Texas game after that, Bama they got out their way and stopped saying, you know what, we're just going to make this guy into a pocket passer and just hope that he just kills them with their arm. They finally said, you know what, he's a pretty damn good runner, and so let's not take that away from him. Let's just go ahead and let him do what he does. And because they were able to do that, and they said, you know what, let's not overthink this. That's why they look different, and that's why Milroe looks a lot better than he did before. Because since then, I mean, he's rushed 2 times for over 100 yards. I mean, LSU, he rushes for $155 and 4 touchdowns. He rushes for $107 versus Auburn, 259. In that game as well, and so they're not afraid. And by the way, when in that LSU game, Catch, he rushed 20 times. He had 20 carries for 155 yards versus Auburn. It was 18 for $107. They're just saying, go ahead and do what you do, man. It's all right.
One of the crazy things about Milroe, Jason, I'm going to put you to the test, and then we'll move on to prize picks. There's an instinct to kind of slam Milroe as a passer. He's certainly stronger in some areas than others, and they live on the deep ball at times, but Quinn Ewers, if we talked about games this season, and I guess Ewers would have played in, I guess technically you'd probably say 10, right? He missed the 2 games. You almost don't count the Houston game. But overall, Ewers played 2 games where he had a quarterback rating higher than 170. Do you want to take a guess at how many games this season Jalen Milroe had a quarterback efficiency rating in a game higher than 170?
Well, I didn't count them, but I know what his season efficiency. I looked at it earlier. I know what his season efficiency is. His season efficiency is higher than that. I know that. So, people tend to bash on him, like you said, because he did make some mistakes earlier, and sometimes people get lost. And he's a good runner, so he can't be a great passer. But it's kind of like Anwar was saying. It's kind of like they let him do his thing, and that opens up the passing game, and it's kind of like when Jeff Fisher and the Titans draft Vince Young and try to make him a pocket passer. Why would you draft Vince Young? It still makes me angry and try to make him a pocket passer. So he played what? Catch 13 games?
12, because he didn't play South Florida.
He did. Oh, that's right. Milroe sat out that one game. Out of 12, I know his season. I'm not going to look. His season efficiency was like 177 or something like that. So I would say 8, maybe.
What about you, Alex? You want to take a guess?
I don't know what are you guys? I'm sorry. I was looking at the PrizePicks NFL stuff. I wasn't.
It's okay.
I was paying attention.
You weren't listening.
I was paying attention.
This year, Quinn Ewers had 2 games on the schedule where he had a quarterback passing efficiency over 170. How many times this season do you think Jalen Milroe had a passing efficiency game over 170?
Is this like I'm so bad about understanding what these different passing things are. But so 170 is a really good game. That's a really good
170 is really good.
Well, you're asking the question because it seems like you're trying to trick us because maybe Milrose
No,
had a
I'm
run.
honestly I'm asking you because I know the answer. Like it's more about I actually have a fact in my head than like a trick question.
So I guess the ones the viewers did it in clearly. One of them was Big 12 championship.
Yep.
And
The other one was
the
Rice.
other was what Rice?
Yep.
Okay.
No, Baylor, right?
I was
Again.
gonna say
Baylor is 199 against
Oh, it's
Baylor.
Baylor.
Okay,
You're
okay.
right. Thank you, Jason.
I'll say Milroe. I'm just gonna guess Milroe has one more than you. I'll say Milroe has 3.
Okay. Onward, you want to take a stab?
Well, yeah, it's a trick question. It's going to be 10.
It's 8.
Oh, 8. Okay. Well,
Okay.
yeah. So that's even more tricky than. Anwar just saw right through it. He's just like, oh, it's a total.
Well,
I nailed it, but
he wouldn't ask it if it was 2, right? Or if it was 1, right?
Even
So
4 would be double yours.
Yeah, I just thought he was gonna say he's had more than yours, so that's why I chose 3.
No, the way I asked the question, he was clearly going to have more than yours.
Okay.
But 8's a lot. 8, I think.
177.5 for the year. That's his
Yeah.
QBR for the year, guys. I mean, he didn't throw for the ton of yards, like as many yards as Ewers per game, but efficiency wise, and a lot of that, he gets a lot of yards per attempt because he pushes the ball downfield successfully, and that factors into it. But you can't sleep on him as a passer.
I'm just saying he's doing it in every way that a guy can do it at that position. And look, 3 of the 4 of us agree. Alabama, you take Texas out of the mix, they might be the favorite. All right, let's transition to Prize Picks. Alex, I'm going to go to you first because I've got one in my head, and I'm going to have a few more. But you've been looking at it while we've been doing the show. Does anything jump out?
Well, I just now this morning I had to run our rankings model and do this stuff, and so usually Thursday is the first day I take a look at this. But yeah, like after doing the rankings model, a couple things popped out to me. So I just think it's just like with last week, whenever I said Tyreek Hill, just take all the mores you can with Tyreek. We were good on that. Within that was the lock, and Pavia with the rushing more, right? Those were the 2 locks. This week, the guy I'm looking at a whole lot is Zach Moss, who face planted last week, but has one of the best roles in all of fantasies at the running back position. Whenever Jonathan Taylor has been out, and he gets a really good matchup this next week versus Cincinnati. It looks like on the roster watch matchup tool, it is ranked as it's the number 9 matchup on the week for opposing running backs. There's nobody to take any snaps away from Zach Moss. They're not going to play Trey Sermon. So that's going to be one that's going to be interesting for me. The only thing, I guess the only concerning thing there would be is that at Cincy? I think it's at Cincy. I would have preferred it to be in the Dome at Indy, but I think I'm seeing on Zach Moss, what is it? Like 68.5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
It is in Cincy, by the way, Alex.
Yeah. I'm fine with that one. I'm fine with the 88.5 rushing plus receiving yards as well. The other ones I looked at, and this catch, maybe this will be one that you're on, but Dak Prescott's going to absolutely throw more than 37.5 passes. Like there's no shot that this thing goes under. Philadelphia is what we call a complete pass funnel defense. It's the top matchup for opposing quarterbacks. It's the top matchup for opposing wide receivers. It's a good matchup for opposing tight ends. It is the dead worst matchup for opposing runners. So this is what teams do. They throw on Philadelphia. It's whether that's the game script that Philly gets him into because Philly's good and teams are having to pass or whatever else. Whether it's the fact that their secondary isn't as good, whatever it is, it's all the analytics say it's the best matchup for fantasy quarterbacks, the best matchup for fantasy wide receivers. So I'm taking them more on Dak Prescott passing attempts. The first time these two teams met, he had 44 attempts in that game, and I'm correlating that with CeeDee Lamb. He's going to go more, and I'm probably even Brandon Cooks, which seems too high at 50.5. I'd even look at Michael Gallup. They have him down at 15.5. I know he stinks. but that's one reception from him and the best matchup of the week. So just correlating those guys, the pass attempts and the yards, all the mores for the Dallas Cowboys. And then one other one that I like the best of all is Justin Fields more rushing yards versus the Lions. They have it right now at I think I saw it at 60.5. Every time he's faced the Lions as a starting quarterback, he goes absolutely ham. The Lions are allowing among the most points to opposing rushing quarterbacks in the league, and he's gone over I think he's gone over 120 yards every single time rushing that he's faced the Lions. So 60.5 is just far too little. I can look up his exact splits versus the Lions, but I think that's right. Here, let me just look it up just to make sure I'm not. I mean, Fields feasts against the Lions as far as rushing. It's been so this year already. He went for So this year he went for 104. He rushed 18 times for 104. Last year it was rushed 13 times for 147 and 2 touchdowns, and then he rushed 10 times for 132 in Week 17 last season.
You know what? That seems fair because the 60.5 is basically half of what he's been doing in almost every game. So
yeah, man, it's to me, I feel strongly about the Fields rushing.
Alex, let me tell you one that I've been gravitating towards since I logged on this morning. And this is, I will freely admit, I'm probably overreacting to what I saw on Monday night. But they've got Jake Browning listed at 228.5 passing yards. And after watching him last week, he doesn't even have to necessarily play well to get to 228. He looked like a guy on Monday night that's got 228 in him in a home game against the Colts.
I like Browning. I think that he's. I just wanted to check and see where the projections are on him, because I mean, what is it? What did you say it was?
228.5.
So I mean, it's
even against the Steelers in his first start, he went for
it's a great matchup. Let me pull up the projections and I'll tell you what it says. But you guys can go on to another one.
354 last week in his first start against Pittsburgh, 227 catch. So even in his first start in a low-scoring game, against a pretty good defense in Pittsburgh, still went for 227. So he certainly, after watching Monday night, boy, he certainly found a rhythm.
It feels like stealing money after Monday night when he was so good.
The median projections have him at 240 for a conservative median projection. So you're getting like 18 yards of value.
12 yards of value. Yeah, 11 and a half. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm taking Justin Fields, Browning, Alex's Cowboy picks, and Zach Moss. You know what, Alex? I'm going to put I'm going $50 on that one.
I'm putting it in too. There's no way you're winning on that, and I'm not. All right, so Fields, what was Fields, and then the Dak. I'm gonna take Dak on the attempts.
I did too. You talked me into it. I went Moss on the rushing yards, Dak on the attempts. I took CD with receiving yards, Fields with rushing yards. It's all Moores, but I'm a Moore guy, Anwar. I can't help it.
I think everybody is.
Yeah. I almost feel dirty when it's not a team I'm rooting for. It's like Lowe's just feel icky.
I hate rooting against people. Like, their success in life. So I'd much rather just take the Moore.
Nothing's worse than having a guy like it less on 44 yards. And it's like he just like one play, and you're like, no. Or like rather cheer for a guy than root against a guy.
Or like when it starts or when it happens super early. Like I forgot when the last time the Jaguars played, but I had was that the afternoon slate last week? I forgot, but I
Thursday night
TNF. Right? So that's why I remember this one so well. It was just I had the Evan Ingram less on 52.5 receiving yards. In like the second play of the game, he pops one off for like 39. I'm like, oh, I'm dust. I'm totally dust. And then he goes on to have his biggest game of the year. Do you guys, speaking of Thursday, is there anything that you guys like from tonight? Do they have anything up about? Do they have anything up on Zeke yet?
Yeah, it's I saw it. It's higher than expected, but I think I'd take them more. It's at 60.5, right? He's going to be the guy. That Steelers run defense isn't great. It's not your traditional Steelers run defense this year.
I don't know who else they're going to give the football to. I mean,
well, exactly. I think volume. I think he's 52 and 54 the last 2 weeks, and that's when Stevenson was involved. So
they've had to sign Jermichael Hasty from Baylor to their practice squad, and they're elevating him ahead of this game. So,
now this is a game with an over and under total.
Yeah.
It's an over and under total of 30.5. So it's like they're not expecting I saw that I keep waiting for him to put Jalen Warren's stuff up. It was up earlier, and they had him like a low rushing total earlier this week, and I didn't grab it. Now it comes that Najee might not play. They pulled it off their board. Najee, they're saying, is going to play probably with a banged up knee. He might be limited. So I'm curious to see what they have Jalen Warren at when they put him up, because Jalen Warren's a good player, man. I don't know what
it's almost like they need an excuse, like Najee being a little bit banged up, just to be like give him a little bit of a feature shot. And when they do, man,
dude, I would love it. I don't want
Texas fans know about Jalen Warren. Do you guys remember that Jalen Warren game from what was it last year or the year before versus Oklahoma State? Versus like, man,
2 years ago. Yeah, he was a rookie last year. So.
Hey, Jason.
The only Warren one they have up is 21.5 rushing yards in his first 5 attempts. This is a guy that leads the NFL in yards per carry, but that's a pretty salty New England defense too. So.
I always get screwed on the first 5 carries. Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm touching that.
That
but
like shooting hoops on war on the crooked rim at the carnival. Like, it looks like I can make that, and I never do.
The one that I like, Alex, if you're asking me as a Steeler fan, I don't like any of the yardage totals because Trubisky, I mean, it's such a wild card with Trubisky starting and Zappy starting for New England. But Boswell, 1.5 field goals, okay? Steelers are great at – first off, he's a really good kicker. They're at home. Steelers are great at turning the ball over. I don't think they're going to be able to – if they make it to the red zone, I don't think you're going to see many touchdowns in this game. I like Boswell more than 1.5 field goals if I'm picking anything. I think this has a, 16-7 type game to it, 16-13 type game. I think I think the Steelers end up kicking a couple field goals at least. I would take Boswell over more than 1.5 field goals would be the only one I'd even touch.
On that note, Jason, I like if you go to specials, they've got a TJ Watt, Chris Boswell pairing where it's 2.5 sacks or field goals.
Oh gosh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that one.
And it feels like either of those guys could get you 2 by themselves pretty easily. I agree with you. I think Boswell is going to get the field goals. I think he could kick 3 in this game, and then you've got Watt against that defense. He could be good for a couple of sacks or at least a sack. So I think I'm leaning towards maybe getting some action in on that TJ Watt Boswell.
I saw that one. The sack one is always so tricky. I mean, as great as TJ Watt, it's very easy to take a goose egg, right? And then he may turn around next week and get 4. So I don't know, man. It's just
maybe Boswell by himself.
That's what I'm leaning to, but don't let me talk you out of it. TJ may go out tonight and get 3 sacks on his own. So
Well, I'm asking you, the Steelers guy. So
I'm taking Boswell by himself. Yeah.
Anybody else? Got any favorite plays? Whether it be
I'm a college guy, so it's crazy for me to say that, but I'm so college that's these other things. I just listen to you guys and take notes.
I can't believe the words came out of your mouth. Like you are finally, because in your what's your Twitter handle?
Hell, I still it's Anwar Richardson, but I think my email address is NFLAnwar@Yahoo.
Yeah.
So we're finally at a point where Anwar is like, I'm a college guy.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know who these guys are.
PFB Anwar.
Yeah, I gotta change it to like
SEC Anwar.
Yeah, NCAA Anwar or CFP Anwar, something like that. I gotta change my.
It's gotta be SEC, man. SEC.
Oh yeah, SEC. Oh yeah. You're right, Alex. I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna change it to SEC onward.
I'm looking at soccer just to see if there's anything. I tell you what, I've got one for you. Alex, you're going to want to play this. They've today, if you go to soccer, matter of fact, I'm going to clear this out. Although I might pair this with an NFL pick.
I got to write this down because I will never remember a soccer name.
They've got Anthony Gordon at 0.5 shots on target for Newcastle.
Yeah.
That's a more. I hate the guy. Like
he's got a punchable face, Catch.
He is the most Manu Ginobili, throwing his ass down on the ground, acting like he's been fouled. But he's really good, and it's not saying he's got to make a goal. That's just saying he's got a kick a ball that is on target. So I like the more on that one. I
already have it paired up. What is there another one that you like as much, or is that the lock?
That's the one I like the most.
All right.
I'm looking at it though, and I think I'm going to pair. Thing is, Tottenham games are bananas every single week. It's like 3-3 and 4-3. Let me look and just see what they've got on. I don't even see goals. Let me see. Let me type in Tottenham and see what they've got on here. Okay, Tottenham. So they've got. Is there anyone that I like more than other? They've got Son at 2.5 shots. That's not shots on target. That's just shots.
What's the difference?
A shot, he could kick that thing out of the goddamn arena, and it counts as a
target.
shot.
It's got to touch the goalie's hands or something.
No, it has to be on the path to the goal. So it either goes in or a goalie saves it, but it has to be on target. Means it would go in if nobody touched it. Whereas a shot is just anything goes. There's going to be a lot of shots. Nothing's jumping out to me on Tottenham. Part of me thinks that Son Heung-min at 2.5 shots, I probably would be surprised, but I'm not quite jumping on that. I tell you what, the other one that I like, if I go back to shots on target, Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. They also have him at 0.5 shots on target. I'm going to get some of that action. Matter of fact, I'm going to look and see what else they got for West Ham, because I'm telling you, Tottenham just freaking – it's just back and forth, just everybody taking shots. I think those are my main two for today. I think I may pair that.
You have more conviction on Anthony Gordon than the Kudus, though.
But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a flex on this one. So I'm going to do those two. And what's our favorite Thursday night football pick? I think it might be the field goals with Bradwell. Jason.
That's Jason.
Boswell, yeah, that would be my pick, just because there's no offensive players I trust unless that Jalen Warren line comes out here.
I'm going to go with a flex play of Gordon, Kudus, and Boswell. And I'm not going to try to win the most amount of money of all time. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw $50 on that to win 112 that I can get two out of those three right. I feel really confident that Gordon absolutely is going to get a shot on target. I think Kudus also is going to do it. So I think I might win the entry right there. But if not, I'll go into tonight's game. These Thursday night games always have field goals in them. I'll take Boswell. I'm doing a $50 entry to win 112.50. Boom. I just hit this button. So I feel comfortable enough that I put $50 on it, Alex.
Well, the other thing with Alex though is now you need to give him 5 more because
Well,
or
they
4
don't have
more, 4
lines
more.
up for the weekend. They only have lines up for today's soccer action, and I can only tell you what I know. I don't want to drift into the Saudi Arabian League, Alex, and tell you to take Cristiano Ronaldo. I have no idea what's going on in those games.
You don't want to be drifting into any. You don't want to be drifting into a lot of Saudi action. I don't think, Catch.
Well, look, if I was keeping up with it, you probably could do pretty well on that. But I haven't watched a Saudi game. I know the results, but I don't know who any of the teams are that they play on. Like, I know that Cristiano Ronaldo's having a big year. I know that Sadio Mane's having a good year. They're teammates together. But I don't know it. I don't know anything. So
Mike Torres would know. Mike Torres would know. He's a soccer aficionado. He could tell you.
Well, I'm a soccer aficionado, but I'm just telling you.
I'm telling you, he'll know the Saudi stuff. I'm telling you, like
I bet he does not know the Saudi
I bet you
stuff.
he does. I will bet Mike is.
Mike, tell him that you're not sitting around keeping up with the Saudi league.
Mike,
I see Mike's in the chat, so we don't even have to wait for it.
Yeah, Mike will show up. Mike, I'm not saying you aren't. He says he knows a little.
Well, I know a little.
Well, I love his honesty.
I know Cristiano Ronaldo's got a bunch of goals this year. I know that Jordan Henderson's team is not doing really well. I know a little, but the thing that gets me, Anwar, and this makes me feel a little bit not racist, but like culturally incoherent, is I can't remember the names. Mm-hmm. All the names kind of sound the same, where it's like, let me look at one of the teams where it's like Aliyad or something like that. And then another team is almost like a variation of that. It's very confusing because I don't know Arabic.
You don't?
No. The weakness of mine, Jason. It's a weakness.
Let us know, kids. Get on it.
I know. I feel bad, right? I can't. How much of the league can I say I know if I can't remember the teams? But nevertheless, that's where things.
Well, if there's any odd wars on there, just take the more, and you should be okay.
There we go, guys. Let's wrap this up. Anything else? Anything we want to touch on the PrizePicks this weekend? I'm just going to reiterate this. I love the specials. Always do. So when we get to the weekend and they start combining quarterbacks and wide receivers,
or 3-pointers made and field goals. I mean, it's just fun.
I've had more success on specials this year. And I think keep an eye on what Alex said earlier. Look to see who they pair Dak Prescott with or CeeDee Lamb with, because those guys, I think, are likely to. I don't know. I think the Cowboys are going to win this weekend. I don't think they're better than the Eagles, but I think at home they will beat the Eagles. So I think it's going to be a big number, and you can get, they'll pair him with like Jamar Chase or somebody like that, and then you really only need one of those guys to kind of go big, and it'll more than easily. The specials. And I'm only mad that they only have one special up right now with the TJ Watt and the Chris Boswell thing. But as they get closer to the weekend,
the specials have those combos, but then also within each sport, you can just look for the combo, right? The receiving yards combo, the passing yards combo, and those are like the specials too, but they're within the one sport or the one category and stuff.
And they haven't put those up yet.
They don't put those up usually until closer to the games.
So, all right, well, guys, if we don't have anything else, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, and by all means, trust me, it makes the games more fun. And what could you do with $100 that would improve your life as much as making sports even more fun than they already are? And they're going to give you $100 if you've never played before. Let them give you some money and then listen to us, and I think you'll make a little bit of money. They will, though. Use that promo code Orangebloods. Let them know that we sent you. 100% match the initial deposit. Although, Anwar, I think I love Orangebloods plays the hell out of PrizePicks. It's kind of fun to see the number of people now that play PrizePicks.
Mhm.
Everybody took the same bad beat last Friday with Burnt Auburn.
Oh,
Everybody was
Wrecked my
hurt.
whole-
Everybody was hurt.
It was the first thing I saw today. It was like, yeah, I played Flex Friday last week too. And if not for Burnt Auburn's half a point that we didn't get, oh, Sark, why couldn't you have just called a timeout and let my man take it without rushing? Anyway, guys, that's it for now. We'll have House Divided coming up a little bit later. Football with Friends. Tonight's another Outsider show. They had an interesting one last night.
Catch, dude, I think we had a super chats that came in.
Oh,
did you care about that?
Hold on.
We had like 2 that came in.
Fellas, Texas Natty and Cowboy. Slow down, Justin, dude. Slow down. Texas Natty? I can see that. Oh, we have a $50 super chat, Anwar. I'm so glad that you little Penix injuries. Catch, I owe you an apology.
Energy.
I wrote something wrong and short-sighted. It was meant to be funny from one big guy to another, but it was not. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I am extremely remorseful. Anwar Catch, Longhorn family, please. Dude, I'm not about it. We're good. You're good. You're good. No need to apologize anymore.
Great handle, by the way. Little Penix energy.
That's actually pretty funny.
Instead of big dick energy. Little Penix energy.
Thank you, Jason, for spelling it out in the event that
Yeah, we're all
everybody-
old. I don't know. I don't know how many old guys get those references, right? So
It was a little bit of a dad joke, and Jason
Yeah.
had to explain the dad joke.
Now the kids know. Now the kids who are watching the show know. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
I'm guessing they already know Anwar. Yeah, probably.
Jason's from Bay City. They knew at a young age down there. Guys, I'm from Waco. I knew early too, Jason. Waco and Bay City could be kissing cousins on
Kinda, yeah.
the Texas town family scale. Guys, for myself, Anwar Richardson, Jason Sukamel, and Alex Dunlap, have a great rest of the day. Thanks to Aaron for producing and holding it down. We'll obviously see you like later today and throughout the rest of the week leading up to the weekend. But until next time, you guys have a great next hour or two or rest of the day.